Okay, I am very excited to be here today with a big dog when it comes to the jewelry scene, to the rap scene, to all of the things blinged out when it comes to hip hop. Man, I'm in here today with a legend of the game, Big Mike the Jeweler. Man, how you doing?
Man, I'm really, really good, and thank you. I really appreciate those accolades, man. There's nothing but love.
That's all love, man. Glad to have you here, man. So look, I'm kind of new to the whole hip hop jewelry scene. This whole world is a fascination of mine. I've always been into hip hop, always been into hip hop jewelry, diamonds, pendants, watches, all of that good stuff, man. And I've been speaking to a few different jewelers recently about different things. But I'd love to know, man, how did you get started in this game? Tell me a little bit more about your story. Tell the people about where Big Mike's coming from in the jewelry game.
Yeah, man. I mean, first to say, just based off of your comment, I will say that fortunately, unfortunately, a lot of the jewelry game is just bullshit and smoke and mirrors. And really entering the jewelry shopping experience is one, just like when you're making any other major purchase, that you should do some research before you're spending your hard-earned money. Buying jewelry or any other luxury purchase is one, like, you're treating yourself to a trophy. And if you take that mindset to heart, there's some due diligence that's on your part that you should do before you're shopping. And strangely, a lot of the times, for the history of hip hop, the guys that are coming into some new money, they don't appreciate that making a jewelry purchase is just as big as buying a car or buying a house, and requires just some other knowledge that you don't have coming into it. I got into the game actually by accident. I was working in the luxury real estate space for about 7 years, and I had made my first really significant sale, and I wanted to treat myself to my first Rolex. So, not knowing anything about the game myself, I came down to the Diamond District here in New York City, and I went to a jeweler that shall remain nameless, but this was a super, super popular name in the space. And I just figure, if all of these rappers, all of these guys are patronizing this company and these people, then it's got to be somebody that I can fuck with, that I can rock with, and I can expect to get good service. So I went down there, and strangely, that was not what happened. That wasn't the case. And it just really, it threw me off. So I didn't want to cause a scene. I said, let me just leave quietly. And I went to a Starbucks nearby, and I sat there and I sat to myself and I thought, if this jewelry, hip hop jewelry space is one that's supported almost entirely by young Black men who are coming into money, then there's got to be a niche that I can fill where I'm not going in shopping and getting treated disrespectfully the way that I was when I was a consumer. So I took that money, invested in myself, and just kept flipping it and flipping it, and thank God, 7 years later, I made a name for myself in the space.
Love that, man. So you mentioned something there about kind of rappers not really, or even anybody really that buys a chain or a piece of jewelry for their first time, their first flex after they get a little bit of money, and not really taking it as seriously as they should, not taking it as seriously as a house purchase or even a car purchase. What would you say is some of the biggest mistakes people have made while shopping for jewelry?
The biggest mistake and the most common thing is that most people shop with their ears and not with their eyes,
Mm.
because jewelry, you're looking at precious stones, and these are things that their quality and their appearance is something that you have to take the time to look into to discern what the good shit is from what the trash is. And if you're not taking that into account and only listening to, this guy is somebody that I fuck with because the rapper that I like fucks with him, or somebody that I know has previously fucked with them, and they're telling me what I want to hear in price point, that's not necessarily the way that you should shop. When you're buying something of value and of expense, the cheapest option may not be your best option. And you got to factor in that, like, the jewelry industry is one that is highly unregulated. So someone can say something is of one quality and it not actually be that quality. And if you're not armed with, some of the simple tools to kind of source through the bullshit, more often than not, people get fucked. And that's what the industry is known for mostly, is sleazy characters who will say whatever to make sure that they can get the money out of your pocket. But it's on you to really shop with your eyes rather than shop with your ears. I want to shop with a guy who's not rushing to tell me the cheapest price. I want to know that I'm buying something that was made well, done well, and with quality so that, heaven forbid, I lose it, I'm not going to take a major loss on the bread that I spent.
Mm.
Because the last thing you want to do is buy something for $10 and get fucked and find out that you're going to get 4 cents on the, 40 cents on the dollar. And oftentimes that's what is pervasive in the jewelry industry. But like, it's on you to form a relationship with a good jeweler who knows what they're doing and is going to educate you before you make your purchase, so that you don't end up in a situation where you're getting fucked.
So
You know,
I feel like when it comes to jewelry, there's kind of two lanes. There's two branches you can go down. You can go down the kind of factory Rolex in almost investment route when it comes to jewelry, and then there's the kind of bust down or a custom chain. You know, you get a custom pendant made that's got your logo on it. No one's really trying to buy that off you, right? So I feel
right,
like
right, right.
how do you feel like, is jewelry an investment? Are there good chains that you could buy that you actually might be able to flip, or is it a kind of a case of like watches are good investments, jewelry's a more personal thing? Like, break that down for us.
The truth is, there's really kind of to answer your question, to answer somewhere in the middle,
Mm.
in that the watch companies, yeah, if you buy a presidential Rolex, it's made with 18 karat solid gold, and you know that gold is a material that's always gonna retain value, and the watch itself is also going to retain value based on the reputation of a company like Rolex. But Rolex as well, they don't want you to think that there's value in buying a bust down watch because it's a segment of the industry that they're not participating in. If
Mm.
you buy a beautiful AP or a beautiful Rolex, and then you go to someone who's in the gray market, and the gray market is just buying a watch or a piece of jewelry from not from the people who manufacture it. So, like, if you buy a Rolex from me, Rolex is not participating in the money that I make from it in customizing the watch by adding diamonds. So it's in their best interest to say that, oh, there's no value in that, but there's always value in that. If you have a market of people who are interested in making those purchases, there's still value in that. Is it the same? No, because they're not appealing to the same sort of demographic. But when you make something specifically custom, like on this Cuban right now, this
Mm.
Cuban is always going to have value in that the weight of the gold is not going to change, and the value of gold is still going to be the value of 14 karat gold today. While it may fluctuate a little bit, you're going to be able to get your money out of it. And the
Mm.
diamonds that are here, if you excuse differences in the quality of the construction, the diamonds are still diamonds. So I'm gonna get, if I go to another jeweler 5 years from now or 6 months from now and I try to sell this chain, I'm gonna get the majority of my money out because the gold and the diamonds can be repurposed. But if I get something that says somebody's name, I can't, as a jeweler, I can't really sell that because the name of your clique or your gang or
Mm.
whatever is only valuable to you.
Mm.
So the answer is kind of like it's in between. I would say that, like, if you're buying something like a tennis chain, as far as jewelry, or you're buying something like a ring, you're always going to get your value out of that.
Mm.
Which is one of the things that, like, I always admired about Takeoff, God rest his soul. If you look at the incredible collection of jewelry that Takeoff had during the time that he was living, the majority of it were smart investment watches and tennis chains. Yeah, he had a couple of custom pieces, but if you see the progression of the Migos career, you'll see a lot of the times he's just wearing tennis chains. And because the tennis chain or like a Cuban is something that's timeless, it's
Mm.
still going to have an appeal culturally as far as jewelry is concerned moving forward, and you're going to be able to pull your bread back out of it, which is something that people should be conscious of when they're buying or they're building their jewelry collection. A lot of times people are just, they get the money in their hand, it's hot. I want people to see my name and know that I'm successful, I'm making money. And in the rap industry, it's really important because a lot of these guys, as they're coming up in the industry, they're not making as much money as they would like to with concert promoters and things. But if you can project the success that you've not yet had
Mm.
by purchasing the chain, it's almost in the rap game, it's an investment in yourself because the money that you can command per show is going to be a little bit different now that you can put on a poster. Oh, this guy's got chains. It looks like he's getting money. So maybe he warrants performing at a venue, larger venue, getting larger crowds, and getting a larger take of the money.
Okay,
So
that's
that's kind of
interesting.
the beginning of the way that the jewelry industry and the music industry kind of finds their way to melding into each other.
Yeah, I remember hearing there was that famous story of like Gucci Mane when he first met the Migos and he like gave them a chain and then the next minute they threw all their fake chains in the trash because they finally got a real one from Gucci because it's showing off that success. It's that kind of fake it till you make it mentality, and it sounds like people really be getting bookings off their chains.
And honestly, it's sad in that, and like that's another area that like the jewelry industry gets their bad rep is like sound financial advice is sound financial advice. If you're on your last $20,000, may not be the wisest thing to spend
Mm.
15 of it getting a thing. But like that's an argument that you really have to have with yourself if you're a rapper and knowing that if I put this, if I use invest that 15K and put it in a chain or put it in marketing and do something to build my brand that'll help elevate the money that I'm going to make moving forward, that's a decision I have to make. But like if you're on your last 15, 20,000, there's it's on you to, and your jeweler, frankly, to help you make the decision that, maybe there are other ways that we can do this where you're not over leveraging yourself.
That's crazy.
I try to do that with my clients. I try to just give general responsibility and advice and trying to help people make the right decisions.
Yeah, man. I was talking to 1090 Jake. He's another big YouTuber in this space, and he's got a big 1090 chain. I think I seen him in an interview say it was 100K or something. But I was talking to him about his chain, and he was saying to me, like, bro, when I got the chain, people start treating me different. Like, when I pop out and I'm wearing the chain, I'm that guy. And it kind of, I'm not the flashiest guy in the world, but I have been thinking of getting myself a chain because, like, I know that it would kind of be viral if I had the right idea. Like, I recently got a tattoo that went kind of viral. Like, I feel like if I get the right chain, the right idea, people are going to be
No, I
excited and
mean
talk about it.
it's 100% true. Like this, guys like 1090 Jake, guys like Bandman Kevo, they'll tell you. And I saw an interview recently that they were doing on No Jumper. That look, Bandman Kevo will tell anybody who has ears to listen that part of how big his brand grew is flexing that success. Ultimately, with YouTube, with all platforms on social media, it's about garnering attention. And one of the best things that you can do for your brand is to show that you got some shit that the other guy ain't got.
Yeah.
And having a chain really outside of it's nice to know that you got the disposable income that you can make a decision like this and it's not going to hurt you. It may be subtle, but you're going to see ways and that people start to treat you differently. You're starting to have different conversations with people based on, I've had times and I've gone out and I've had lunch and I've had a whole conversation with somebody that I ended up doing business with outside of jewelry just based off of them seeing a watch that I had on my wrist. It kind of introduces you to a realm of people that you may not have normally had access to, and now you have something in common that you guys can start talking about, and it helps in networking and brand building.
Man, listen, I'll keep it real with you, man. I've been thinking about getting a chain. I'm trying to come up with the perfect idea, and I might need to have a consultation. That this might have to turn into a little mini chain consultation because I'm trying to come up with an idea that's going to be viral, that's going to get people talking, that's going to be something you've never seen on a chain before. Like I had a few ideas, but none of them are really hitting like that. But I don't know whether you got any ideas or whether we can kick a few around.
I trust you to figure it out because you have always found a way to think outside the box and do something clever with your brand that gets attention. And if all of the things that you've done to get to this point remain true, then I'm sure that you're going to think of, like with creating custom jewelry, a lot of the time it's a partnership in creativity between the person commissioning it and the jeweler themselves. And then using whatever financial limitations may be there to try to find the most creative ways to make you something personal and custom that you're really going to enjoy, because anybody can make you a piece that says your name. There's no talent in that. Yeah. What sets a lot of the jewelers who are at the top of the game, like Eliante and Icebox and Aviani and Co. and NYC Luxury, are taking whatever little inspiration that you had and trying to draw from entertainment and movies and where you come from and little bits about personal information that can add details to the piece to make it more intricate, creative, and then use jewelry manufacturing and different diamond shapes and shit to make it one of one. So that when you step out, it's really something that represents you and it's a personal trophy. And when you make something like that, that's not something that you even want to trade in. You know, it's got sentimental value because it reflects everything that you went through before you made that purchase. That's why a lot of people never trade in their first rollie because they remember all the things that occurred to them in their life before they had the money to do it, and it's something that means something to them, that it's something that you want to pass down. You know.
For sure, for sure. So, like I said, I've been brainstorming ideas, but I'd love to know maybe what you think as far as like what are some of the best rapper chain ideas that you've personally seen. Like, are there any projects that you've seen, whether they're ones that you've worked on, or even just stuff that you've seen out there that's like really inspired you, that you're like, that is a damn good idea, or that's a smart idea for a chain. You know, what ideas do you like?
I would say most recently, um, Eliante made a piece for Meg the Stallion. It was like a snake chain,
Mm.
but what made it so interesting is he used marquise and pear shapes, different shaped stones, to mimic the skin of a snake in a way that looks like really authentic to what the animal actual looks like.
Wow.
And it was just the perfect meeting of jewelry design, forethought, and creativity, where everything lines up perfectly and it looks smooth, and it's just like, oh, what, of course that's what it looks like, that's how it was supposed to look like. But when you have a genius idea, all of the things that seem obvious are only that because of greatness and execution. And I got to tip my hat off to him. There's a reason why he's one of the top names in the game, and that piece was one that really stood out.
So, opposite question of that. What's some of the worst pieces? You ain't got to name and shame anyone specifically, but are there any rapper pieces that you've seen and you're just like, that's dumb, bro. That's crazy. I can't believe you spent money on that.
um the one that really sticks to mind, I think it was Finesse Two Times had a chain where it was like, I don't know if he was trying to represent like Black history. It was like people being hung from a tree, but it was all iced out,
Oh
and
man,
it was yeah,
that's wild.
outside of
That's wild.
outside of the outside of the context of the piece. I mean, he said that it had some sentimental value to him. I'm not even really mad at the subject matter because ultimately it's a custom piece. It's all about what you want. But the execution of the piece, it was just, that's not it.
Yeah,
That's not
it's moving crazy. That one's insane. You said one of the first things that you did when you kind of got money and went to the district was, you were looking for a Rolex for yourself. What was that first Rolex that you ever bought?
who was the president. I was
Mm,
trying to get a president. It was right around 2014, 2013, 2014 when the big face presidents came out,
mm.
because before all presidential Rolexes were 36 millimeters. And then around the time Jay-Z and Kanye made Watch the Throne, Rolex decided to make big face Rollies. That's why it was such a big deal that they mentioned that in the song. Yeah, so Jay-Z and Kanye mentioned having a big face Rollie. I said, yo, I'm getting
Mm.
money. I want to feel that feeling. I wanted to get that. I wanted to get that big face Prezi, and I worked really tirelessly hard to try to make that happen. And it was really rewarding to finally get there.
That's sick, man. So what was a big face Prezi going for back then? Because I bet them prices went through the roof by now.
Yeah, I mean, with COVID, the jewelry industry got really, really interesting in that there was a lot of fluctuation in prices, and prices skyrocketed through the roof. Now things have kind of leveled out, and watches are actually, it's right now is a very smart time to purchase a watch because the market has kind of corrected itself. Because like I said, during COVID, a lot of people got stimulus money and PPP money that the government was getting out, and some people were getting hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, and strangely, they all decided to make jewelry price purchases. Will be around the low 40,000s USD.
Sorry, say that again.
But
I lost you for a second there. Was that 40,000 now?
yeah, 40,000 now. But at the height, they were going close to 70,000.
Crazy.
Yeah, that the swing was wild.
So I'm quite into watches. You know, I wouldn't say I have a watch collection, but you know, I like watches. I like just watching videos about watches and Rolexes and Pateks. Like I can't afford a lot of that stuff, but I kind of like the look of it, or at least I'm not willing to spend that sort of money. You know, I'm kind of cheap, kind of humble with it. But
No, bro. These watch companies would have you believe that, you know, purchasing, making smart watch purchases and becoming a watch collector is something that's only available to the richest of people. But there are great entry level watches, Cartiers, Rolexes that you can get for $3,000, $5,000. And yeah, if you're looking at the market and you're smart, within a couple of months, you can see that a watch appreciates and make yourself a nice little profit. For me, that's one of the more interesting things about the jewelry industry is it's almost like following the stock market. There are some models that have value, and then when a watch company like Rolex or Patek or AP discontinues a watch, that's when there's a lot of opportunity to make money, because when scarcity with anything is where there's going to be the opportunity for you to make a lot of money. Like one of the things that keeps the watch industry, the watch game so interesting in the jewelry industry is that there are jewelers who are icing out the watches. And what that does is artificially create a situation where plain watches are now worth more money. Because if I take a plain AP as a jeweler and I ice it out, there are fewer plain APs available on the market, now making that watch more expensive for the plain consumer, and the bust down consumer also gets a watch that they can purchase. So that's one of the reasons why these watch companies they try to frown upon the bust down market, because they're creating another industry for people to buy and trade these watches and make a lot of money outside of purchasing them from an authorized dealer.
so
So right now, you can really get into the watch buying game. You just gotta make the right decision and know the right pieces to buy.
So that's the next question. So I want to know, what would you say are the best pieces to buy, like the best investment watches? I'm gonna give you a few different prices, and maybe you can give me maybe a couple of your favorite watches at those prices. How about that? So
Okay, that's not good.
for like a entry level, let's say like a $10,000 watch. You know, you're looking to ball out, but it's your first watch. What would you go for like 10K?
I'd say you have a couple of options. You can go with a nice Cartier Santos. You can go with a Rolex Datejust stainless steel, or Rolex Submariner. And for me, between the three of them, the Submariner will probably be the smartest choice,
Mm.
because it's a timeless watch. It's a smart watch that you can go to lunch with or go out with, and it says, okay, that guy, he knows what he's doing. He's not fucking around. He knows he wanted to make a classy purchase and one that's solid and going to retain value. And it's a smart watch that just says, I've entered the game, I've entered the chat, I know what I'm doing, and this was a smart purchase. So Submariner is probably the best to go in the 10K and under bracket.
I do love the look of the subs, man. Those are fire. Okay, so how about now? Let's pump it up to say about 25K. You know, second watch, looking to ball out a little bit harder. What would you go for?
Um, so oddly enough, my wall over here is
Mm.
filled with some of the most popular APs and Rolex watches. I would go with an AP on a leather strap, something like
Ooh,
these.
yeah.
Those are smart purchases that you're going to get. And you may be able to get one on an all stainless steel band,
Mm.
but AP watches like these on a leather strap are really ones that you're never, once you enter the AP game, that's it.
Mm.
You're a watch collector now. You're shopping for serious watches. Between 15 and kind of $25,000, I would say getting some of the entry level APs on sports straps, whether it's a rubber strap or a crocodile strap or a leather strap, is really gonna be the smartest purchase, because you're gonna be solid. And AP is a fantastic brand, and it's a conversation starter. I've never met somebody with an AP that I didn't say, okay, what's that guy doing? Let me
Mm.
check him out.
Okay, so let's go bigger now, bro. Let's go 50K. I'm looking for something special. I'm looking for something flashy. 50 racks. What am I buying?
50 bands. you definitely want to buy a solid gold watch, and at 50K you have lots and lots of options.
Mm.
I would say you can, if you want a more timeless, classy, I'm gonna shit on you in any sort of environment that I'm in.
Mm.
You can always go with a Rolex Prezi,
Mm.
solid gold, 18 karat. It's a gentleman's piece. It makes a statement. You're not gonna step into any room where you're not gonna command respect by having a Rolex Prezi on, and just by having a solid gold watch on. But you got other options. You can get a GMT Master 2, you can get a Sky Dweller Rolex. You may be able to get, depending on where the prices are at and the quality of the watch, because, just like with anything else, you can buy a brand new watch and then you can buy a service certified pre-owned watch where the fluctuation between them is usually about between $1,000 and $5,000 depending on quality. But you could get a rose gold AP
Mm.
or a two-tone AP, something real sexy that says, I'm successful, I made it in that kind of 50K range. That's what you're going to look at. You got lots of options at 50K. You should be blessed that
Mm.
50K for a watch.
All right, this is the
You
last
can't go
one
wrong.
then. The last one, 100K. This is the most I could ever imagine spending on damn near anything, bro. What are we buying for 100K? I know that there's watches that are worth more than 100K. I know there's watches worth millions, but that's getting ridiculous. But 100K, that's like, you know what I'm saying? That's like half a house on your wrist. What are we going for at 100K?
What I say generally is you got to look at these watches the way that you look at your cars. Your Rolex is like getting a nice fully loaded S-Class Mercedes Benz.
Mm.
Getting an AP is like getting a Ferrari,
Mm.
and then getting a Patek, it's like getting a Rolls Royce.
Mm.
So it's just about the taste. It's all about preference and taste and what sort of message that you want to send. But for 100K, it's time for the patty.
Time for the
It's
Patek.
time it's time for the Patek. And just a hair over 100, you may find some entry level Richard Mills too.
Mm, okay, because that's the thing. It seems like Richard Mill's really the pinnacle of the watch game at the moment. You know, I like some of them. I don't like other ones, but I understand that they're kind of works of art. But do you like them, or do you feel like it's overhyped?
I do and don't like them, but because I feel like they're Pokemon cards for rich people.
Yeah, that's facts. That's a good way of putting
I
it.
feel like a lot of people are picking them just based on color and wanting to style it, which is fine. You want to style yourself going out. You want to make sure that your watch is an accessory that matches your outfit. I'm not mad at that. There's nothing wrong with that. Especially if some of these watches they're great pieces. They can really shoot up. You can really make between $100,000
Mm,
owning one for a short period of time, being able to enjoy it and get out of it. But I don't necessarily like Richard Mill for the kind of hype beast kind of culture that exists around them. And Richard Mill himself is a guy who's still alive.
mm.
So, in theory, he could do or say anything to get himself canceled as an individual, and
Yeah,
that would dramatically affect the value of those watches. Just that possibility being out there, for me personally, is not something that I wouldn't want to leave myself susceptible to that. If I buy a $400,000 or $500,000 watch, if I buy a Rafa Nadal edition Richard Mille or something, and then Richard Mille himself says something dumb somewhere, I don't want to lose upwards of six figures on my watch because of that. That possibility is out there.
that's facts.
While
I never
rare,
thought of that,
it's
man.
something out there that's possible.
If Richard Mill catches a case, it could be over for all of those watches, man. It could be over.
Everybody catching a Rico today, man. You don't know.
Bro, it'll be a fire sale on the Richard Millies when he catches his case, man. I hope it happens. I can't get one for the low.
Yeah, I mean, with all this shit that's going on, I mean, look, these cases they're often involved with the jewelry industry. I mean, the most famous jeweler, Jacob the jeweler,
Mm,
famously went to jail for some charges related to tax evasion, but it was because he didn't snitch on BMF.
wow, is that why? I don't know the full story of that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh no, it's a very famous story in the jewelry world, and that what does sometimes happen in the jewelry game is that the alphabet boys, the feds, are looking for the local guys in the hood who are making money because they don't have a bank account. But they know that those guys have an appetite for getting icy.
Mm,
So the easiest way to find them is to go to the one place that they're all going to be shopping, the jeweler.
got it.
Now, It can be considered tax evasion if you know that the money that somebody coming to buy jewelry with was made in the streets somehow.
Mm.
So famously, BMF was doing whatever they were doing at the height of their game, and the feds came looking for where that money came from, and he never snitched.
That's crazy, man. Jacob stayed
He never
solid.
snitched.
Respect to
That's why
Jacob,
that's
man.
why so many people respect Jacob the jeweler, man. He never snitched. He went to jail. He did his time, and his brand and everything that he's done in the jewelry industry, it's all legendary. He's the GOAT.
Man, that's
And that's why
crazy.
a lot of people respect him because he didn't tell.
So I remember the Jacob watches back in the day. You used to get those big face, the colorful 4 time zone
Oh
watches.
yeah,
They
with
were
the
fire.
time zone, the whole planet on the dial, legendary shit, man. Jacob is the GOAT. He really set the bar and created the standard for how to operate in this game with integrity and just being creative and finding a way to gain the respect of your clients and make things that are going to make them happy and retain value. And there's no one really that can have anything negative to say about Jacob the jeweler now. Look at the things that he's doing. He's building a building in Dubai right now.
Yeah, I seen that. I see on Instagram. I
He's
follow
doing
him on Instagram.
collaborations with
I'm trying to
Bugatti, you
I'm
know?
trying to go stay at the Jacob building, man. That looks sick. I would like to get a piece. I think it would be interesting to show the whole process, but I'll be keep it real with you, bro. I'm not really trying to spend more than like 10, 15K. So what
You
could I
don't need to.
what shortcuts could I take to make 10, 15K stretch and look like a lot of more money, you know what I'm saying? What tricks could I use?
Well, when making custom pieces, there's a lot of different ways that they can be manufactured, and knowing that is what can either save you a lot of money or it's all about what you want to get. If you're when you're buying jewelry and making a piece, there's deciding whether or not you want to get a lot of bang for your buck and get a big piece that covers a lot of surface area, or you want to get something small and intricate, but the quality is so high that it'll, melt your face. So like I can make this letter T, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ice it out. But if I decide that instead of me paying for the stones to be drilled in and put in individually by hand, if I do it by computer, that can save a lot of time and a lot of money in labor, you know? And that allows you, if we have a budgetary limitation, now we can decide, well, maybe if we lower the quality of diamonds, you can get more diamonds and cover more surface area and make a bigger piece. It's all about you, the consumer, knowing exactly what you want. Okay, I want something modest, not too crazy. I want the quality to be something respectable. And I just want it to look nice and not be too big, but not too small at the same time. Those are the sort of conversations that you need to have with your jeweler. And the unfortunate thing is, a lot of times your jeweler is not bothering to go through that conversation with you. They want to, as it is a business, maximize their profits. And if they can do that, they will have the diamonds set by computer, have the quality of diamonds be a lot lower so that they can kind of squeeze out as much out of your budget as possible. And those are the sort of things that like it would do a lot of people a lot of good to like look into that or discuss that with your jeweler at the outset of like making something custom, because the last thing you want to do is be done, have something tangible in your hand and be upset with it, because now these golden diamonds, they say T for Traplo Ross. They don't say they're not it's not going to be something that somebody else wants, you know.
So here's a question that I wanted to ask you, man. I know this is a controversial issue amongst jewelry people. What's the deal with lab-grown diamonds? Because I don't know if you've ever seen like the movie Blood Diamond or anything like that, but like I know that when it comes to manufacturing or mining diamonds, sometimes it can be a very negative thing to put out in the world. But I know also a lot of jewelers don't respect lab-grown diamonds. And for me, like I'm a very ethical person. I don't think I would care if I had lab-grown diamonds, or obviously I don't want fake diamonds, but like what's the vibe on different kinds of diamonds, where the diamonds are sourced, ethical diamonds, shit like that?
Well, the lab-grown diamonds are something that's really kind of growing in popularity in the last 3 to 5 years. And essentially they have, and it's funny that you bring up ethics, because of the prevalence of lab grown diamonds, you have the opportunity for a lot of goofy characters to do some unscrupulous shit
Mm,
and not really
mm,
disclose that information.
mm,
So, like, especially in this hip hop space, lab grown diamonds in general cost about 40 cents on the dollar to what a natural earth mine diamond costs.
mm,
And whether or not you want to use lab grown diamonds is something that's up to you. Some people feel like I recently had a client who was shopping for an engagement ring, and they didn't really have an issue with where so much the diamond was sourced, so much as it was that knowing that they have a wedding coming up, if they could get the same ring that would normally cost them $60,000 and now get it for maybe $7,500 and it have the same look and also pass most conventional tests for testing whether or not it's a real diamond or not,
mm,
that's a significant decision that you're going to have to make. But what happens in this hip hop space is some jewelers decide this guy's not going to know, he's not going to check. I'm going to put or mix in
mm,
lab grown diamonds into his piece and charge him the same price that I would of a completely natural diamond piece
mm.
so that they can maximize their profits. That's the sort of unscrupulous shit that happens here in the jewelry industry. So like it's really about doing the due diligence to know that the people that you're doing business with are ethical people, because mixing that stuff in and not disclosing that is not cool. It's not cool. And just like there was that story that little baby got caught with a fake watch
Mm.
a couple of years ago. It's the same sort of thing. The last thing you want to do is spend six figures on making something beautiful and then find out that the materials inside don't even cost $10,000. Where did all my money go? That's not cool. But people are often not making decisions on lab grown diamonds because there's an ethical issue. So there are lives being lost, of gathering earth mine diamonds from the various countries that they prevail the most. Um, a lot of earth mine diamonds are coming from Africa, are coming from India, and now Russia as well. And if you can get a lab grown diamond that shines just as hard, that's what they're doing. A lot of rappers, I'll have you know, are purchasing lab. And when they get on interview and they're getting on TV, they're quoting the appraised value of what it would be if they bought the real thing. A lot of
Ah.
these rappers are behind closed doors. They're asking for the lab. And because, when they go out, nobody's going to know that it's shining hard, it looks good, because not everybody wants to spend six and seven figures on jewelry. So the lab also kind of provides an opportunity for some people to fake it till you make it.
Yeah, man. I watched a few videos on, the diamond trade and lab grown diamonds, and I kind of came away from it feeling like, for me, like I said, I'm not super flashy. Like, I'd probably prefer lab grown diamonds, if I know that they're ethically sourced. I knew going in that I was looking for lab. I certainly wouldn't be trying to flex like I would tell people like these are lab grown diamonds. I don't know if I feel good about the diamond trade, but the other question I wanted to ask you, bro, was, can you get lab grown diamonds on a bust down watch? I had never seen that anywhere. I've looked for it. I've looked for lab grown bust down watches, but I
Yeah,
don't see them.
I mean, lab grown lab grown diamonds, the industry has grown so significantly in the last couple of years that they're here to stay in that GIA now, which is the premier organization for grading and stating the quality of diamonds greater than a half a carat. They're now grading lab grown diamonds.
Wow. So you
Yeah,
can
they're
get
they're
GIA
in the lab
certified
game now too.
GIA certified
Yeah,
lab stones. Wow.
yeah, and there's a jeweler in Chicago who specializes in making hip hop jewelry, all lab,
Mm,
everything lab, tennis chains, Cubans, custom pieces, bust downs, all lab,
mm,
and the same this bust down date just that I got here, Jubilee band. Today would be around the $20,000 mark. This guy has got it for sale on this page for maybe like $4,500.
wow.
VS quality, very clean stones. And for all intents and purposes, if you're just going for the look, that's a decision you got to make. But if you're someone that wants to know that getting lab grown, you just know that you're buying something just for the look, and it's not something that you intend on being able to pull out the value at a time of need down the road.
Mm.
Whereas even with this bust down Rolex, even if people say that the bust down market is one that doesn't retain real value, there's always going to be a market of people who are interested in buying this sort of watch, and it's going to retain. You're going to get the majority of your money out. Whereas lab, what you pay for it is what you make on the initial purchase, and that's it, and you know that you just got it for the look.
Okay, so I want to ask you one more question that's kind of controversial. I know a lot of jewelers feel very strongly about this topic. What do you think about Hublots?
Well, Hublot, just like many other watch brands, have has come in and out of popularity. You know, 10, 15 years ago, everybody was talking about wearing a Frank Mueller.
Those were fire. I remember those back in the
Those
day
are the
with the
ones.
numbers, the
They
crazy
were
big
hot in the
numbers.
streets. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing people talking about getting a Frank Mueller. And then Breitling had a time in the hip hop industry where people were getting Super Avengers and other models that they had, and it came and went out of popularity. But Hublot, I think, is one of those brands that, it may have lost its time now in the hip hop space, but they continue to make very beautiful and interesting models that still appeal to people. I still think the Hublot skeleton that they have on the rubber strap is a sexy watch. It's on the lower end in that you can probably find one at around $15,000, and you're getting a skeleton watch that's well made by a watch brand that's sexy and it's timeless. So it's all about your personal preference. Like if you're somebody who's an individual and not going to dictate what you fuck with based on the trends, I say buy a Hublot. I also tell people at the same time, everybody likes buying Cartier watches, but Cartier is a jewelry company. They just happen to make watches. I like to buy my watches from companies that specialize in making watches. They make an excellent watch, but like when I want to buy a watch, I'm going to go to Rolex. I'm going to get a Rolex watch. So it's all about your personal preference and making a decision whether or not it speaks to your spirit and what you like with and what you fuck with.
I fuck with Hublots, bro. Every time I tell somebody that, they're trying to tell me like, "Don't do it, don't do
I
it." They're
fuck with them
awful.
too,
I
bro.
fuck with
Don't let
them.
anybody discourage you.
I like Hublots, and they're cheap. I could probably afford a Hublot. You know what I mean? So it's like, I like them.
And you can get a lot of sexy models from Hublot in prices that make sense. And all the things that I told you about trading in the watch world, they still remain true. You're going to find upside in making money on a Hublot and diversify your collection. Don't do the same shit that everybody is doing.
For real, man. Well, listen, it's been really great talking to you. What I think I want to do, bro, is I know I mentioned to you I want to do a video of all the greatest hip hop chains, and I'm thinking I might get a chain made and then make a video about that. So I feel like, now we've tapped in. I finally got on the phone with you. I know we went back and forth. It took me a while to lock it in. It's been a busy start to the year, but I really appreciate you giving me some of your time, and I'd love to maybe have another conversation down the line, maybe in a little bit more detail about how I might actually approach creating a chain. And you could maybe help me navigate that situation when the time comes for it, man. But I can tell you, you're dropping some knowledge on me today. I really appreciate it.
Say less, brother. I really appreciate you having me on. And if I could give you a suggestion, if you're going to make any video, look into the Jacob the Jeweler and the whole how he got arrested, the BMF situation. There is an epic video there and there's a story there waiting to be told.
That's a fire idea. You know what? I never would have thought of doing the Jacob Rico video, man. But that's genius. I'm gonna have to get onto that. If I do that, I'll give you a big shout out, man, for sure. That's a sick idea.
Love, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Take care. I'll chat to you soon.
I'll tap in with you soon.
Peace,
Take care, bro.
Bye. There you have it, folks. That was the interview with Big Mike the Jeweler. Should I get a watch? Should I do it? Is it time? You guys be the judge, man. Let me know if you think I should get a watch. That was lit. We had some technical issues at the start, but we ironed it out, man. Shout out to my guy, Big Mike. About to get some more jewelry content popping soon. Shout out to the Secret Garden. Shout out to all the jewelers that have tapped in with me, man. We've got a lot of content coming up. It's lit. But you might see me with a big trap law chain soon, man. Hold tight. Hold tight for that one. But appreciate you. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.